I am enjoying the vodka tonight. Um, but
That's all right.
yes,
Right now, my recording has just restarted.
how's it? Oh, that's fabulous. Good job. Anyway,
Thanks.
it's all right.
Thanks,
My mine's
Streamlabs.
my Streamlabs is working.
1 hour later.
No, you are shitting. You are shitting me. You've only just told me now. No.
How much has it lost? Like all of it?
Dorks down under.
It's fine.
That's all right.
Don't start trying to jinx this end.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, God. Yeah,
You know?
that sounded about right.
Yeah, let's not try and jinx the entire podcast. Anyway, Jesus Christ, this rain is trying to jinx it though. In fact, it's very apt for the main topic discussion in the Avatar the way what. But yes, I will. I should hopefully be able to pick up print. If I have to pick up prints, I can pick up prints.
Oh, no, because
But,
he's going in November. So he was
oh
more
right,
just...
yeah.
He was
I
more
could
just
probably-
curious.
I'll certainly be able to advise appropriately because obviously I will have been and say yes, you can get them and go here. But the problem is you don't know what. I remember one thing I do remember was the prints were completely random.
Oh, really?
It wasn't like they stock the latest. It wasn't like, oh, well, here's the latest books sort of thing. Back in the day, back at the time, it was like, well, yeah, they'd have some artwork from the latest codex, but of course things have changed drastically since I played the hobby.
Oh, okay. So you just be like, here's a random thing from 1987.
Oh no, it wasn't ever that far back.
Okay.
But suddenly it's like you may like say the latest codex is Necrons. Let's say Necrons, for example. You may turn a bug and I think, sweet, I'm gonna get my sweet Necron art on, and then of course it's all, his Chaos Space Marines, Imperial Guard, and then Eldar. Oh, there's no Necrons at all. Fabulous, great. It's like hang on, I want to get this artwork because of course you flick through the codex and you see this one image. You're like, oh my god, this looks sick. I need this for my wall, and this is what I want. And it's like, yeah, you can't get that. It's like, why can't I get it? It's like I'm at Warhammer World, the one place I should be able to pick this stuff up.
It's like, thanks, but no. You're like, damn it.
To be fair, it's funny because on the website it says if you are wanting to purchase anything and you want anything specific, please contact us via this, the Bookman's Bar email domain, to notify us of your visit, and we can advise you what's in stock at the time. It's like, well, okay, well, I better. I'm probably going to send them an email when I land, because obviously I'm visiting within 2 weeks, and say, look, I'm going to pull on the thing and say, oh yeah, I'm visiting from New Zealand. Please let me know what you got.
That's weird though. You feel like if anything, they'd have everything there. Like unless it's obscure or like unless it's like Forge World or something where they may not have all of it, or you want to pick up like I don't know, like a Reva or.
It could be the fact is you imagine I've had a look and they got a lot of events on at the moment. They've even got Blood Bowl and Necromunda events on like the week before. So the fact is that they're just saying is that look, if you want something specific, please let us know so we can keep it aside. I.e., if I want some Bugman figures, which I will probably pick up.
Yeah.
So, I'll probably want some of them. They just say, look, we can keep them aside for you.
That's
so
all right then.
You turn up and you're not disappointed. So you're not having the bad customer experience. Which is because obviously Warhammer World realised quite early on that they're now Disneyland for Warhammer,
for
Warhammer
nerds.
Enthusiasts, for nerds.
But it is true though, like, and that's the thing, like, you kind of think, oh, yeah, they have everything. And yeah, if they do have a couple of busy events or if they do have some tournaments, they would get hammered pretty hard, so...
Oh, no, they did, and whenever I used to turn up for a tournament, you would see the, between breaks of where games finish early or it's lunch break or, like, the morning tea break or whatever, and literally, if people weren't at the tables, they were either in Bugman's Bar or they were in the store. There was only one store. It's funny. It looks like there's two stores now. It looks like there's actually a Forge World store and a Games Workshop store now. So I'll be interested to see how that looks when I turn up.
So
the way the pictures look, it looks like there's two stores. I have a feeling it's one store with two tills, but still.
I must say, yeah, like, I don't know. Like I've looked through Forge World stuff, and some of the stuff just like looks cool, but I don't know if I'd ever buy any of it because I'm like, I don't know if I can use it. A, B, it's cool, but it's just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel the same.
I do like Forge World. Forge World has some unique looking mod. Hence the reason why I have in a fantasy shopping list there is a Mars Pattern Titan Warhound.
Yeah.
Because that one's just the iconic one that looks sick, and I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
what would I do?
What wouldn't I
What
do?
kind of pattern? What pattern am I putting on it, and all that jazz? Because you've got to have these sort of fantasies, in my opinion, as a miniature painter, you've got to have. Okay, I may be working on this. But what's my next thing I'm working on in my head? Because you've got to have that element, in my opinion. But
Yeah, and that's one
I,
thing. I won't lie. Seeing Duty's stream where he's got the camera, he's got another camera obviously that's over his shoulder while he paints. I was like, it's just a great excuse to paint. Like for nothing else, you're like, oh yeah, I'm making content. But really, it's just a great excuse to paint. And he smashed out like I think it was like 4 hours stream or something. And I'm like, and he just and he literally just turned around and went, I've been streaming for 4 hours. I was like, yeah, it's. You just lose time in it, and I'm like, it'd be a great excuse to be like, oh, I'm going to I've got to stream on Monday nights and put aside like a few hours just to be able to do that.
I mean, honestly, I got out of the hobby when Eddie was he 1 or 2? I think I want to say 1 because I only got out. The only reason I got out of the hobby is because I didn't have time to play it, and I was like, well, if I haven't got time to play, why am I painting?
Yeah.
Because to me, if I'm playing, if I'm having a game, I want to play it.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the hobby just to paint, which some people are, and some people, I know they've just had, which is fine, and I know that some people, they've just had Warhammer. Is it Warhammer Fest? They call it now. I can't remember what they used to call it.
In America, it was called Adapticon, where they had that, and it had
Yeah.
like the golden team, and it had like a tournament and stuff.
They've just had that, and the golden theme, this year's golden theme, just got announced, and the guy shared it on TikTok the other day. With him, he put a model in, and the guy who was filming obviously won it, and he was like, "Oh my god," And to be fair, amazing piece, amazing, stunning. I'll never be at that level. And I'm happy to never be at that level because one, if I'm painting at that level, they're never getting played ever.
Yeah.
Not a single model. If I painted as good as Golden Demon Winners, those models are not seeing the battlefield in any way, shape, or form. And if they do, I will kill the person who puts it on it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, seriously, I put all this time and effort to make this thing look amazing, and you're putting it in and out of a case every single minute. No.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing. Like talking to Lucas, who what was he doing? He's doing the Imperial Guard, Margaret Thatcher, I call her. You know that? Oh, what is it called? Hang on, I've got to find it now. But
what?
He's doing her, and I'm well excited. And yeah, but he spent weeks on it. What is it? Not Margaret.
This sounds like an
Ursula Creed.
Oh, what Matey Boy's daughter, the head of the Cadian army.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what's his name? Oh my god, it's there. Creed. Him there with the cigar. Churchill. Churchill was what we used to call him in the store. What's his goddamn name?
Don't know.
Oh, why?
I'm just gonna nod and smile.
Oh, Dez, I hate you. Right, people commenting below, please. I mean, oh, it's there. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember. Right, anyway, let's move on. Right, let's move on. Right, we've had enough Warhammer talk. We've had 3 episodes of talking about Warhammer. Let's move on. Right, the entire main discussion of this episode is actually discuss the new Avatar movie, which has been out for a while, so we're going to discuss it without a spoiler warning or any of that crap. Because God forbid.
Which one?
Yep.
Sorry, am I losing?
Nope. Now you're back in. There you go.
Is that ground control to Major Tom? Ground control to Major Tom.
Fire away.
What am I doing? Oh, the Avatar film.
Avatar film, yeah.
Yes. So I watched that yesterday, and like the first one, it is aesthetically stunning.
Right. Okay. Yeah. If we're gonna just aesthetics off the front,
Oh, okay.
yes, fabulous. It was amazing, and in fact, I've seen several. James Cameron's obviously jumped on the bandwagon of TikTok, and he shared a load of the like behind the scenes things.
Mm.
Like, I think there's a big documentary coming out about it. So, and like piecemeal bits have been dropping on TikTok,
Mm.
and it's interesting how he's filmed it because, of course, he did like above water filming and below water filming and all this jazz, and he used he explained the different methods that they've used to
Oh,
film it, and it's interesting. You know, the way that he's approached it, I think it's amazing, and the look of it is really good as a movie, in my opinion.
oh, it is gorgeous, and like the creatures that he has created, especially for this role. And what I love about it is you can kind of see like little animals that are genuinely out there now that have been kind of used as inspiration, where he's put a few together to do it, and it just looks amazing, and it's an absolutely gorgeous. I love that it has this massive sort of Polynesian overtones to obviously the water people, whose name I cannot remember off the top of my head. Jordan's just gone blank.
No,
He's still trying.
no,
He's still trying to
no.
remember to. He's still trying to remember Lord Celestine's name.
Don't you try to throw me under the bus? Oh my god.
He's like the brain's gone.
Oh, what is it? Oh, I'm looking it up now.
Lord Commander and Governor Primus. Is that the one? I'm just like randomly throwing names.
No, I'm looking at. I'm trying to look up the name of the tribe. Go on, carry on.
But yeah, and they've obviously got this massive Polynesian overtones, and I love that they've given them their
massive. Oh
like
god,
like obviously they've got the kind of New Zealand or the Polynesian face tattoos. You can see that they're built so their actual hands have like a little bit of a wider, almost where they're little pinkies. They've got this wider thing, obviously to help them in swimming. Same with their tails are a lot more broader to allow them to swim better. They've got able to breathe underwater for a lot longer, and they're very in tune with the ocean. And I kind of like it. Like, so the movie starts off with obviously Sam Worthington's character kind of blowing up a train, getting a whole heap of kind of like a resistance leader. Then he finds out that Stephen Lang's character has come back to try to pretty much kill him. So he's pretty much gone, family's my fortress, and my fortress needs to get the fuck out of here. So runs off to another tribe, being the water people. And the first probably hour and a half is just getting to know the family, finding out their personalities, getting them that learn the way of the water, and get them to really understand how these people live. And that goes on for probably a good hour and a half, I would say. And then slowly you start to see, obviously, them get found and little things happen, and then that's when the sort of action of the film kicks in. John's still like just he's either frozen or he's just blankly sharing the screen.
I am not frozen. I promise. It is. I am trying to find the name of the goddamn tribe and I can't find it. But anyway, right. So yes, no. As Des says, yeah. Basically, I think the big. I mean, obviously, because they need a big bad, and of course, it was going to be the humans coming back to the planet. But the way they describe it, because of course, that's not personal enough. The way, obviously, that they have the Colonel has come back, and he's come back to life, and he's now in an avatar body because they can now basically in the original film, what they don't show apparently is that they're able to download their brains and memories into a chip, and that can get transmitted back to home base, which you can then develop an avatar body, which gets here in time.
But what they actually did say though was so it does say that it's a year later. So what actually it looks like is what happens is
it's not. It's 10 years later.
Oh, is it 10 years? Oh, sorry. And then what they actually seem to do is they seem to grow the avatar in almost like as they would with a genetically modified kind of like they obviously put him in an incubator, put all the right things, and then grow the avatar to adulthood, and then during that time obviously put the memories into him. So it's not like. It's that. So you've obviously got Sam Worthington character that has 3 kids and obviously adopts Sigourney Weaver, who is also an Avatar, and in this stasis
Sigourney
pod,
Weaver, yeah.
who randomly got pregnant, who they can't figure out why, and obviously does that.
She's the chosen one. Yeah, the chosen one daughter. Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, there's a lot of connotations in this movie, and it's like, it's very interesting. I mean, I think let's address the one thing off the bat. We'll get this out the way right now.
The 30-year age, they reckon?
Is we're talking about there's been a 20-year gap between the original and now. Now, okay, I understand that maybe he had an idea for it back in the day of carrying it on, and maybe they couldn't have done it back then. Fine, understand it. But the fact is that been 20 years.
Yeah.
Like 20. I mean, maybe if this had come out 10 years ago,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, all right, okay, yeah, technology is still catching up. And,
Well, rumor was that he was actually going to do it, and then he was going to release one every 2 years. And he had this big thing in place. He was going to release them every 2 years, and there was going to be 5 movies in total, and all this stuff. But it does feel like that. Like a movie that I loved was Bad Boys, and Bad Boys, there was a 13-year age gap between then and now, and at least
the second and third
between the first and the second, there was like a 12 years. Yeah, because it was in 1993 from memory, and the new one came out in about 2002-ish.
No,
I'm pretty sure.
Can't have been.
Okay, we're hopping on the Google.
Hopping on the Google.
So it's a 1995 film. The number 2 was in 2003. So sorry, it was a 8-year age gap, and then there was a 13 years to Bad Boys in Life. Okay, sorry, my apologies.
Right, yeah.
I knew there was a big age gap between the two. But at least with cop dramas, you can kind of go, okay, these are the same cops. They've been working the beat for a few more years. They're now detectives. They've moved around, and then they've caught another big case. Because chances are they're not going to catch this massive big case in 95 where they literally destroy half of Miami, and then 30 seconds later they've got another big case. Like, the chances of cops getting that kind of thing is just insane. But you're like, okay, cool. But I must say, and that's the one thing that I do say about this film would have been groundbreaking if it had been released 2, 3, 4, 5 years after the original. But the problem is a lot of, I found as well, like, though I knew the characters, the time has passed where I'm just like, I didn't love the characters as much anymore. I didn't seem to have that same connection. Like, I watched the Avatar at the movies, I think 4 or 5 times in 3D, and it was something special. And even to this day, I've never been to a film where I've had the experience of 3D, and also the way that changed 3D and the way that changed movies, like the original Avatar. And still to this day, I would say that it's in my top 3 films just for that. Like, the way that it was able to add texture to the film, the way it was able to add movement, the way that it was able to make you really get involved in it. I was like, this is absolutely amazing, and there was something special about it. And then obviously they brought the same characters over, but it's been so long that in a way I didn't care as much. And even when they were going through this stuff, I was like I get who Scully is, I get who his wife is, I get that he's got kids and stuff and how he's doing this thing, but it was just like, yeah.
It is one of these things how, I mean, funnily enough, I found this out because I watched the recent movie, and of course there's been this big resurgence about Avatar, and one of the things that we're talking about, apparently with the first movie, there was this thing called Avatar depression.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting to find out about, because apparently it was like, obviously people went to watch it, because obviously this is back before, I hate to dare to snout, this is back before we had streaming platforms, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And where you could freely watch these movies at home. You had to actually go out to the cinema and watch movies.
So that's so when you open the door and you collect your Uber Eats and your Amazon, what you would do is follow the driver outside and then go to a store that actually sell these. It was a weird, different time, people. So
it was a weird back in the darkened ages, as I'm sure the millennials have described.
As we like to call it, BC, before COVID.
Before COVID. No. But anyway, apart from that, apparently there was this thing called Avatar depression, and I was like, what do you mean Avatar? And obviously, TikTok. It's amazing what TikTok deep dives take you into. But basically, there was this thing, pandemic of, where people would go watch it at the cinema and they were like fantasized by it, going, "Oh my god, what a world!" and everything. You know, because of course, James Cameron, the first Avatar, was amazing and it was fantastic, well developed story, visually, just.
And you
Cheers,
felt
thank
you kind of felt for the underdogs, and you really did root for them, and you could see why, obviously, the plight of man and trying to come in and take over and stuff versus what Sully was doing. You could really connect with him. Where here, I was like, yeah,
but the problem, of course, is that after the first movie, especially once it's run its course in the cinemas and it was no longer available, is that people went through a bit of a depression because they had to go back to their normal lives in the world. And of course, it's not as bright, it's not as deep, it's horrible. It's the everyday human experience. And this is the problem, and of course, this is what cinema should do to you. Cinema should transport you to another time, era, place. It's the same with the Star Wars. Like, if you go back in the day to the Star Wars phenomenon, it was the same thing. It was, oh my god, look at this galaxy. And everyone was like, and it was amazing. And everyone lived and breathed Star Wars. And then Avatar came along. Everyone lives and breathes there. Same with Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings came out. And it was the same thing. It was like, oh my god, look at this. The depth, the breadth of like this fantasy world, and it was like popular, and you get this every so on. And of course, I think, as you said, if this had come out 10 years ago, so say again 10 years after the first one, it would still hit and it would smash it and do really well. I know it's done well. It hasn't done as well as I think what they expected.
No.
But it's kind of moving on to the next element is, in terms of the storyline, I quite enjoyed it.
I liked it. The thing that I found from the first to the second is the thing that it lost was the heart. Like, I know friends, I know for a fact a friend of mine, Sarah, she actually has an Avatar eye tattooed on her with "I see you." And that was such a moving phrase, and it was used several times throughout the original movie, and it really had a lot of love and a lot of heart behind it, and it really gave the movie soul. And I heard it a few times in this one, and it kind of felt like it was more just a throwaway line, like, oh, this will tie us to that one. It didn't feel the same. I feel like, obviously, Sam Worthington's character felt way too military, and he lost a lot of the heart and a lot of the soul that gave him that beauty and that gave the film that beauty from the first.
The problem is he's become a dad.
Yeah, and I get that. I get that too. But even when he wasn't quite the dad,
I actually related to him in it, in some senses, especially with when his kids have gone off.
Oh,
and, and you have to have an element of trust in your kids.
Yeah.
But the fact is that, of course, like, the eldest one's doing the eldest things, which is looking after the rest of them, and the rest of them are like, great, we can do what the hell we want.
Yeah, he's got our back.
No, that's not the point. And of course, he keeps telling the elves off, stop taking blame for your brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And all that jazz is like, yep. No, that sounds about right. Eldest doing eldest work.
Yes.
And all that jazz,
as an eldest, I 100% agree.
Yes, I know. But, there was lots of elements. I think the problem is, they were trying to obviously draw everyone back into the original movie. We kept saying ICU and all that jazz, which is fine. But I think the one thing I find hilarious that, of course, is that they explained that it's been a couple of years since, I don't know how many years in terms of movie time it is, between the originals that they get booted out and all this jazz. I know that the kid goes from a toddler. Sorry, there's a human child who is the colonel's son, who goes from being a toddlerish, so I'm assuming he's about 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And looks at the movie, to being a teenager. which is about, I would say, is at least 16, 17.
At least, yeah. And I mean, the thing is,
So,
they do show you, like at the very start where she's going through
yeah.
the beads of the life, you see the kids grow up and you see Spider, who's the only human kid, actually grow up with them. And you can see it looks like it's probably a good 10 to 12 years, if not more, maybe
Yeah.
15 years.
Yeah, possibly that. So, you're talking about that length of time, but the fact is that so they're trying to draw the Owens back in with the ICU and all that jazz, which is fine. But it's like, so hang on. Sully, in this 10 to 15 years, has had, because the fact is that he knows the leader of the Water Tribe, which is great. But the fact is that, oh yeah, well, we can go and be with the Water people, all this shit. Oh, but there's no friendly relations between the Water people and the Forest people at all.
Well,
They don't explain that. They don't explain that entirely. Was there a war? Was there something?
Yeah.
Oh no, but Sully knows the head of. Sully randomly knows the head of this random water clan.
I guess because obviously that, like, by the sounds of things, that dude was the head of all of them. Because in one bit there, when Lang starts doing, he's saying, "I've told them not to, based on what I've said."
Yeah.
So it sounds like he's the big boss, and he's probably like Sully in regards to he's a great hunter. He's probably got these stories about him. They probably know of them, but there didn't seem to be a lot of familiarity with them when they first met. So I think what happened is he knew of him, and the whole idea of it was the fact that I think that trip where you see all the kids and like obviously falling asleep on mum and they're flying for hours upon hours makes it realise that for anyone to fly that thing, it's like a 24, 48, 72 hour flight. Like it's miles away. And I think that's maybe what it is. And they both seem to understand and know each other from what rumour was. More so than...
That's not explained. The way that they greet each other is like, oh, this is the great... it seems like the problem is it doesn't seem like a very, oh, I don't know you. It seems very, I mean, especially living in New Zealand where you meet Polynesians or Maori descent, they are very embracing if they know you.
Yeah.
If they don't know you, it's a bit standoffish and it's a bit formal until you know them.
But it did come across like that. It did feel like they were a bit standoffish. Like it was like they know of you because obviously it's kind of like, for example, like I can see from the shade of your skin that you're obviously one of the forest people. I know the name and stuff. And it wasn't until he said a word, which I can't remember now, but for me it reminded me of Pirates of the Caribbean where he's like, parlay. And all of them went, oh, he did say you want to parlay. All right, let's get him in. And so it did feel like there was not a lot of knowledge, or there wasn't necessarily a fondness or an understanding there. I actually think they didn't. I think they handled that quite well. I think, as you said, the demographic of the different kids and where they sit, based on Thingo, I think they did an amazing job on the kids. I think the kids were great. Yes. I felt like Zoe's...
You definitely have a good range of... Well, if you're going to have multiple kids, there's obviously got to be the responsible one.
Yes.
The reckless one. The childish baby of the group. And of course, you've got the token adopted kid who, who's been born and all that jazz and has been adopted in, and how she fits in. And of course, she's got this amazing connection to
everything,
the world spirit, to everything. She can call whatever she wants. It's fabulous. It doesn't matter if she's forest born.
Yeah.
Or she can call the entire ocean.
Yeah, but I think that was the idea, was that is she was kind of almost going to be like the like I feel like she's going to be somebody that's going to be used to be like that she is across all elements, and that's why she's the chosen one. But I think they did a good job of that. I think one person that I was just like, I honestly think they ruined her character. It was Zoe Sladars. Is it Sladars? The one that plays Sam Worthington's wife.
Oh, Mum.
Zoe Sladara, I think. The one that plays...
Or as Colonel calls a demon witch.
Yes. But, like, she felt like she was just an angry, fucking vicious bitch of a woman during it. Like, she seemed to always been angry. When there were fight scenes, she seemed to be almost like a berserker in the way she was doing things. It just, like, you lost the soul of her. And I felt like, okay, I get that she's a mother now. like obviously Sam Worthington went more military with obviously his kids, and you're like, I can kind of see that, but it still felt like he had softened after meeting his wife, and that softness has kind of gone. She turned into like this almost like vengeful kind of like just rage monster at one point, and it felt like and she also felt like a second class citizen in the actual film.
Yeah, it was a bit like literally watching it. It was a bit too mama beary.
Yeah,
In terms of,
but it just seemed
it
like
was like,
it was Mama
and
Bear
I
that.
understand, yeah, it was Mama Bear, but it was like, oh no, I'm only Mama Bear for my biological kids, which is really funny because, of course, like they show that, like in one of the scenes, they show that they adopt Sigourney Weaver's daughter because, again, we'll say that we don't know how she got Sigourney Weaver's avatar somehow got pregnant, and apparently it is Sigourney Weaver character is sort of still influencing her in relation to the mother spirit and all this jazz,
Yes.
blah blah blah. But it's like she's kind of aimed at that. But the fact is that Spider, who is essentially the human character, and Sully Sully kind of he's one of ours because he describes him like
Another son.
The stray cat who turns up and that you kind of adopt. And it's fine, which is fine. But the fact is, of course, it's like, oh no, we got, and she doesn't see it that way. It's like, no, we only look after our own. And it's like, well, technically, she's not your own daughter. Technically, she's, adopted and all that stuff. But oh no, that's fine. So
but it does also. I
also
think it's because of Spider's relationship with the Sigourney Weaver's daughter that she's a bit off about it, because obviously he's human, she's Avatar, and one thing that I also find weird is they refer to themselves as avatars. Did you hear that in a few things?
Yes.
So they're not the
do.
indigenous people. They're not this. They call themselves the avatars, and I'm like, I thought the avatars were when the humans went into their body and became like avatars of them. But the indigenous folk called themselves. Or I mentioned avatars several times throughout it, and I'm like,
yeah.
So that's what you're calling yourselves now?
I think that's where it goes off the rails a little bit, because because they are like his entire family, apart from obviously Mum, who's a native. They all have. I think they all have 5.
Yeah, where the avatars have 4. All the real ones have 4.
No. They have 5, and the real ones have 6.
No, they got 4.
4. Yeah, but anyway. So they are demon kind or whatever.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, but it is one of those things of it's interesting sort of things. It's really weird watching it because, like, to be fair, it's like there were several emotional moments where me and Ellie were watching it together because we watched it. We watched it and we got choked up by several of the bits. And like, oh god, it was really quite hard. But I think that was the parent in us.
Yeah.
Of going, oh my god, it's horrible to watch. But
and that being said, though, we've shat on it a little bit, but I do think overall it is a great film. Is it going to give you that same emotional connection that you had with the original? Probably not. But is it still a great film to watch? I hope there's another one where they maybe go after another element, or they try to figure something else out, and they have left it open for possibly that. And to be fair, if another one came out in a couple of years, would definitely see it. Like, not saying that it's bad in any way. There were just a few points where I'm like, I kind of feel like they lost this, or I wish there was more of this. But overall, it was still an absolutely beautiful movie, and aesthetically as well, it was mind-blowing. It really was just and it is a very heartfelt film. But yeah, there are just a few things that I'm like.
Well, to be fair, I know that they are doing a third film.
Yes,
they've already announced that they are doing a third film, and it would be great to see the story wrap up after 3. I know James Cameron personally wants
17,
Avatar 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Now, logically, to me, there is obviously they've done now Avatar and then Avatar: The Way of Water. So obviously the next one is Avatar: The Way of Fire,
or Earth, or Wind, or Heart, or Captain Planet. Let our powers combine.
But,
I am
you know,
Captain Planet.
I'm
And then you got all the
assuming
water,
logically that he
earth.
wants to
But then
go
you got
for
that
the element
little poor Puerto
spectrum.
Rican dude.
I'm assuming
Hearts.
logically he wants to go for the element spectrum.
Yes.
Now, technically, the forest people to me, because they promote, they use the wind flyers mainly. I'm logically assuming they are possibly air, maybe possibly earth.
Yeah.
They could be both technically.
Yeah.
So it's
I
a
would
bit of,
say air because they live in the treetops and obviously, as you said, the
yeah,
flyers and stuff.
yeah.
But that being said, they also have those really cool like six-legged horses. So
Yeah,
you're
they
like,
use the horses and stuff. So I'm assuming maybe there is an element of, obviously, it's going to be the same thing. Maybe he jumps to a new tribe, or they begin to start circulating. Right, we need to start gathering our strength too, because in the second film, we see that the humans have turned up and they're starting to establish a city.
yes.
Because apparently Earth is dying. Shock horror. God, we couldn't have seen that sci-fi trope turning
Yeah,
up.
no.
The Earth is dying. We need to relocate. So therefore, we're going to do this, which obviously is going to end the entire franchise. I can tell you now, in the fact that the humans are going to come and negotiate. How can we live together?
Yes. But to be fair though, there are some
Anyway.
of them that are living together, and there are some that are living in peace together. Obviously, there's always those ones that be like, we want to be the mega powers, and you're like, yes, well done, America. That's probably you. It's just Americans coming over, and all the other ones are like, no, we want to do other things. It's like America, fuck yeah. Because that's what it feels like. It feels very much like that.
Yes, which is, you can see how from this second film, you can see how the series is going to end. It's either going to end with them destroying them and kicking them off planet, which realistically they're not going to do, or it's going to be that the humans are going to realize that they are beat, they cannot tame Pandora, and therefore they have to come to the negotiating table and say, right, what do we have to do to coexist?
Yeah, but that being said, though, I'm eager to explore the world a little bit more, and this was a very beautiful take on it. I love that they obviously went with a lot more Polynesian, and obviously, as when I've got friends in Hawaii, as they know the water people for being such good watermen. So I love that they've done that, and I feel like it really does pay homage to obviously our Polynesians and Hawaiian people, and it is just great to see that they're willing to step outside of that and be like, let's include some of the cultures from Earth. Let's pay them the highest respect, because the water people were amazing people, and they were very, very, very loving and stuff. And I'm glad they gave them that, and I'm glad that humans are still the baddies.
Oh yeah, no, now I'd be interested to see, like, so obviously, because obviously we've had the forest people, we've had the water people. So say it's fire next. Which culture do you pick for that?
I'm going to go with South America. If you think about it, South America and a lot of the Inca, Peru, Argentina, that they obviously all had and all would obviously honor volcanoes and stuff like that. Also, I know in Incan culture especially, there's a lot of things around the sun, around the fire god, which are obviously the volcanoes. So that would be my guess. Is I think I would love to see a more Incan kind of like, even Jordan brought it up, lizard men style, with obviously that kind of feel. And I feel like that's if I was going to take it, that would probably be the way that I would take it. Or the other one would be Italian, but the problem is they're not good with volcanoes.
Yeah, no. You see, when I thought about, because obviously when I thought about the word fire,
That's a Mount
like,
Vesuvius joke for all our.
Let's move toward. I was originally like, let's move towards there, but I thought, well, surely they're the way of the Earth, because they did so amazing structures and buildings and all that jazz. And I thought, actually, they would be better towards the way of the Earth. But,
I'm hoping if they do Earth, they go more sand. And we go more Egyptian, we go more Middle Eastern kind of thing. We go like old school Babylon and stuff like that. Yeah. Because I would love to see Earth be more sand, it'd be more desert kind of thing.
The desert tribe, sort of elements.
Like you could have that Middle Eastern kind of, Middle Eastern or Egypt or something.
I could see that. That'd be an interesting sort of thought. But with fire, the problem is obviously living on the Ring of Fire is, now that they've done the Polynesian element, it's hard to sort of differentiate the two because like a lot of the places on the Ring of Fire, being Hawaii, Vanuatu, New Zealand, sort of, and even South America, so they're all very. I mean, they all have very distinct cultures.
Yeah.
But there's always a very common element.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I think they may go more kind of South American-esque. But the problem is that we'll have a lot of, and I guess that it'll be a lot more rocky outcrops. It'll be a lot more stone and masonry and stuff like that. And you've got their tails that have got like giant hammers on the end that would just. I don't know if that's true.
I think it's that or short tails so they don't get burnt.
Yes.
More, yeah. It'll be interesting. It will be interesting to see how he goes to the because obviously we don't even know the title of the next third Avatar. It'll be interesting to see. But I'm assuming logically, now that he's done the Way of Water, then it's going to have to be the Way of...
Or Avatar, this shit's lit. And it's like the Way of Fire.
It certainly would be interesting to see that.
Burning down the house.
But, as I said, overall, I think it was a good movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. I mean, I think the only thing holding it back from being a great movie is the fact is I think it's time.
Yeah.
I think if it was released even 5 years ago, so we're talking 15 years after the fact, it would have still popped a little bit. I think it needed a bit of a quicker start. But then again, I know James Cameron said, look, the technology wasn't there for me to film it how I want. Respect, fine.
Yeah.
George Lucas did it. But still, George Lucas was able to create stuff that wasn't available at the time. So, anyway.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I do think there's got to be a point where you're like, you may want to wait a little bit longer or wait for a little bit of things, but there's got to be a point too though where you're like, okay, there's a point where we waited too long and we're going to miss out if we're not careful, and I think that may have got a bit closer to that, and to be fair, as I said, like I still think it is a very, very good film, and I am still very impressed by it, and I still am so glad that I watched it and thought it was amazing. And I'm like, it's still an amazing thing. There were a few things where you could pick holes in it, and to be fair, I feel like with anything, you can watch any movie, and even if it's an absolute work of art, still find things. But there were just a few things for me that I went, I wish that was better, I wish that. But to be fair, also when you're trying to tackle something like Avatar, that will probably go down in history and probably one of the top 5 best movies, if not top 10 at least, ever made, for what it did for cinema, what it did for a lot of these things, I do think that you're probably going to be, it would have been hard to try to get that, like... And shout out to Zoe Sladaris, who's now been in, I think, like 6 of the 7 top grossing films. Like, I hope she enjoys her bed of money that she's sleeping on nowadays.
Honestly, I think, as you've said, quite eloquently said, I'm getting fancy now with my language.
Blimey, we're using big words. There goes all our listener base. They're like, what does this eloquent mean? It sounds like a wine.
Eloquent?
It's a bit fancy.
He use the word eloquent.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the fact is that I think the way that you said it is that yes, I think regardless of if you take this movie purely on its own, it works very well. Does it do a good enough job of bringing the previous one towards it? Sort of. But it does a very good... If this was a standalone movie, I think it could just about work, and I mean just on a very fine margin sort of thing. I think if you were to take this, if this was Avatar 1, sort of take this as this is the beginning movie, I think you could just about get away with it, and then you could this was the prequel, and it would have worked.
Yeah, I do think this is a great building block for more movies to come, and I will say that this is definitely a great movie for more movies to come. But when you've got the original. And maybe that might be part of it as well, the fact that there is that long period of time between the two, that it makes it a little bit easier to kind of take in, or they've tried to do it vastly different. Where the first one did seem more, in a way, kind of a love story and kind of an understanding of people, where this one obviously is more actiony.
I have to say, looking back now, because of course I think I watched the first one I think about 3 or 6 months ago. It was something like that. But thinking back to the original now, it feels like they didn't set it up for a sequel properly.
100%.
All they would have needed was like some form of saying, "Oh, you can download your memory," even if they just said, "Oh, you can download your memories like before any of the battles," or if they'd sort of set it up in that manner that, "Oh, there is a potential that we could have a sequel on our hands."
Yeah,
it would have made a massive difference.
I think what they did do, though, is the fact that they said, obviously, with the avatars are around for X or around for Y, so they can, so you can obviously download the memories or transfer them into an avatar. It shouldn't be that much different for you to be able to transfer them into here. And you're like, okay, that kind of makes somewhat of sense. But even then, like, I'm like, I do understand what you mean. I'm like,
yeah.
It didn't I think the only reason why we knew, or we were almost guaranteed, that there was going to be a sequel is because James Cameron came out and said there was going to be a sequel.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I think obviously, I mean, looking forward, now whenever we see a movie, we go to the cinema expecting, oh, is there an end credit or a mid credit or some form of, oh, look forward to this.
Well, that was the weirdest thing, because what did you watch something and you're like, I think it might have been Dungeons and Dragons maybe, but you're like, oh yeah, there's no end credit scene. And you're right, because like literally pre-Marvel, we would never even have thought of staying back to see an end credit scene, because you're like, why would you put an end credit scene? People have already left. And it does get us, and now we're like, does it have an end credit scene? Maybe we should wait to see if it has an end credit scene. You're like,
but no.
It's weird.
Honest to God, I either before the movie or at the end when the movie is scrolling in the credits, I type in, is there an end credit scene for thing, and on Google, and it will tell me, oh yeah, there is two. There's a mid credit and an end credit, or there's an end credit and all this stuff. And I will sit there and watch, because I've always, especially if I'm at the cinema, I have paid to be here.
Yeah,
I am watching the movie.
Well,
I've been caught out. Because honestly, Iron Man 1, I walked out.
Yeah.
Because guess what? It's never been done before. Credits roll, bye bye.
Yeah.
And you walk out.
Later, bitches. Peace.
You can't help it. And then suddenly you find it's like, yeah, that Nick Fury bit at the end was weird. I'm like,
wait, sorry. Spoiler alert in case you haven't seen Iron Man 1.
Oh, yeah, in case you haven't seen Iron Man 1 last 20 years.
Can you imagine if somebody is watching this podcast about nerdy stuff and all kinds of weird, nerdy stuff, and for whatever reason, they haven't seen...
the end credit of Iron Man
or they haven't seen Iron Man.
I think at that point they need to be removed from the nerdy pool in forceful fashion, and quite frankly. But anyway, but the fact is that I remember someone saying to me, that Nick Fury bit at the end was really weird. It was amazing, and especially when he's talking about mutants and stuff. I was like,
what?
Whoa, hang on. What thing about Nick Fury? What were you talking about? And they said, at the end of the Iron Man movie, he got to the end credits and they did this. And then it was Samuel L. Jackson. Whoa! Excuse me? What? What? And then they told me about it. And of course, as you can imagine, I confirmed it with a couple of other people. And they said, oh, yeah, no, we hung around to the end. And yeah, it was there. And I was like, well, now I'm going to go watch it again. Because, of course, you've got to.
I honestly think sometimes...
I went to watch Iron Man twice just so I can watch the end credit.
It wouldn't surprise me if they put that in just to try to catch people out like that.
I know, but this is, you're talking of 20 odd, I mean, God knows how long it was. I mean, let's say 20 odd years ago. And it was just like, what? There's an end bit of the movie? What? And then I think that started the precedent. So suddenly, with every Marvel movie, I was like, no, I'm not going. Yeah. I am not budging from this seat until the main lights come up. I'm not shifting an inch.
Well, that's a funny thing. So about our where our cinema is, depending on what cinema you're in, you can't actually you're depending on which carrier you're with as well, you often can't get internet. So which means I remember seeing someone's like, see, and it was the end of a Marvel film. It might have been Iron Man 2. I can't remember, but somebody, oh no, it was Captain America, I think, and somebody turned around and went, has any at the end of the film, the credits rolling, has anyone got service? Do we know if this is an end credit scene? And then you hear some guy go, oh, I don't have the internet, but yeah, they definitely do because I've seen this before. Thanks, mate. And then and then everybody just stayed there, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. Honestly, it doesn't shock me anymore. It's one of these things of. It's like, to be fair, I mean, funnily enough, I'm sure we'll discuss it next episode, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Literally, before we sat down, I typed in, because obviously I'm obviously with my wife and my young son, and my young son is the most impatient fellow known to man.
Mm-hmm. We love you, Eddie. But
oh my recording's just crapped out.
Oh, don't tell me that because mine crapped out at the start.
Oh no!
Thank you, Streamlabs.
Fuck you, Streamlabs. 1 second. Right, hang on. I'm closing.
Oh god.
It's only just crapped out. Please, dear fucking Lord.
Because I've got mine and you've got yours. Hopefully, we've got them together. Hold, please, while we have technical difficulty.
Right. New one is recording. Does the old... Hang on. Please check your record. Never occurred. Please check your record seconds. Please, fuck you.
Because otherwise we've lost the start of it.
Hang on.
Because I don't have the start of it because mine crapped out too.
No, that's not that episode. Oh my god. No. You are shitting. You are shitting me. You've only just told me now. No.
How much has it lost? Like all of it?
It's lost every single fucking minute of it. Are you shitting me?
Oh, I hate Streamlabs sometimes. Okay, so mine's still recording, but mine's only got 50 minutes.
God. It is literally missed out on every single goddamn second of this entire recording.
Don't tell me that, because mine's shut out at the start. Remember I told you?
Yeah, I know. Well, we're gonna have to work with your one because my one has shitted. Oh my fucking god.
That's right. It was just yeah.
Oh, thank you, Streamlabs. Thank fucking.
I've noticed as well, sometimes I hit record and I literally wait there to make sure that it has record because I find so many times it just shits itself.
No, you see, I get an alert on mine. Mine pings up and gives me an audible thing. It's just done it now saying, an error occurred with the output. Please check your stream and recording settings. That is the first time it did it, only when I went, which is an hour and what into it, and you're like, are you?
Because I've currently got 51 minutes of it.
Anyway, right. Anyway, we better wrap up before yours craps out then.
Yeah, I know. I know. I told you, fuck you, Streamlabs.
Oh, Streamlabs. Fuck you. Oh. Where was I? Right.
Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers. Right.
Your son being impatient as hell.
Sorry. Yes. Son is impatient as hell. So anyway, before I sat down, I told him there's 2 end credit scenes, one midway and one at the end. He's like, all right, okay. Because if I don't tell him that, of course, I think it was like the Buzz Lightyear one. There was 3, and I told him there was 2.
Oh, and then after 2, he's like, "Oh, I want to go now, Dad."
I want to go. And of course, and then he was very upset. And of course, I wouldn't leave until the end. And of course, he got really upset with me and blah blah blah. So anyway, so now I realize early on I need to look up, especially when I've got him. I need to know how many
Yeah.
how many credits we got and all this jazz sort of thing. So I do that deliberately now. But anyway, so it is just one of those things that you've kind of got to realize nowadays that, well, hang on, is there an end credit scene? And you kind of got to look it up in advance. But the fact
Yeah.
is that I kind of think of, well, hang on, I'm assuming movie critics pretty much have to sit around until the end and say, oh yeah, there's an end credit scene.
I must say though, the movie industry must be just rubbing their hands together, being like, this is fucking genius, because now we can get them to stay around and actually watch all the credits and stuff. And cinemas must be like, this is the worst thing ever, because now these fuckers won't leave. So that those credits where
So
we
we
could
can't
come in
clean.
and clean have
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
been delayed by a little bit.
I mean, it is one of those things. I mean, God forbid. I think I remember the Buzz Lightyear movie when we were watching it. That literally the guys were waiting, and it's like, well, I'm sorry, pal. I know there's another one coming up. So it's like, I'm not going anywhere. And of course, you can tell that they're not allowed to clean until everybody's gone. It's
Yeah,
like,
I know.
nah, I'm good. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
I know.
I'm not going anywhere.
It's hard too though, because you feel for them, because you're like, obviously they just want to get in clean, get the next one started. But like, yeah, but at the end of the day, yeah, we've had that where I reckon the cleaners have seen the end scenes maybe like 40 times because they've had to wait while everybody's in there because they can't clean until then. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, but no, it is just yeah. It kind of sucks for them guys, but yeah. But no, it's yeah. I am interested to see how the next Avatar goes. I'll be interested. I
Yeah.
am very interested to see how it goes. And will I be watching it at the cinema? Depends. I think if it can become a random date night, it will. But
Yeah.
I think it might just be a watch at home on a completely legal website sort of scenario.
Well, that's the weirdest thing though. Is it's still out at, like, I could still go watch it at the cinemas now, but then it was out on the websites, and I think it's out on Disney Plus. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not yet, but I'm just like, it's the movies seem to be coming out so quick. Like, I remember I could download. I'm pretty sure I could have downloaded Cocaine Bear the opening week that it opened here in Melbourne. And I'm
Really?
like, like, it was either the opening week or it was it was like literally within a couple of days of it. And I think it's just because of the fact that, that it was on in America a lot earlier. And I think that's not a bad thing. And I think that's one thing that I have noticed since like illegal downloading and streaming and torrenting has become a thing. A lot of movie guys now are knowing that if we just have the American market and then release to the world, the Americans you're going to make, say, like $100 million off. But the rest of the world, where you might have made $200-300 million on opening weekend, you're now making about 40 because they're able to get it a lot earlier. But there were movies that I remember friends of mine were talking to me about in America and in Canada that, according to us, was coming out in 2.5 months. And I'm like, that just seems, that seemed to be ridiculous. So one good thing about torrenting is now we get it closer to the date.
It is one of these weird things I find about that. I mean, no offense. I'm happy to wait for a movie I don't want to watch. Don't get me wrong. But why? Why do I have to wait? If I can watch it, I'm gonna watch it, and I will.
Yeah.
The fact is that why can't releases be worldwide? So if you're saying, oh, it's, we're releasing it, I don't know, say June 6th.
Yeah.
Then it's June 6th in America, it's June 16th. But I understand there's a time difference and delay, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
To say if it's June 6th, American, therefore it's June 8th, Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and it works out, because there's obviously going to be a time differential regardless of.
Yeah. And that's it. And that's
we might get it slightly earlier than America, or they might get it slightly earlier than we do, and fine, God forbid.
But like even before torrenting became big, I noticed that there would be quite often weeks, months between movies. Sometimes Australia, it wouldn't fare well in America, so they wouldn't even release it on cinemas. And like there were films that I remember going, I can't wait to see this on the cinema, and then it never came to the cinema. Or I'd heard all about it from like online, from streaming surfers, people posting about it on Twitter or Facebook, and you're like, we haven't even, like, it hasn't even been released here. How have you seen it, and how are you already spoiling the crap out of it? And they're like, oh, I saw it on the third or fourth week it came out. And we're like, ours doesn't come out for 6 to 8 more weeks. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm glad that that's one thing that has changed.
It's one of these things I've noticed since moving to New Zealand is that either A, New Zealand or Australia get overlooked entirely, or B, we're like the testing ground to see if things work or not, more than anything. And it's really odd being you're on the front line now. You have to deal with all the problems.
Yeah. If you guys don't watch it at the cinemas, it's not getting anywhere. And you fucked it up for everyone. You're like, damn it.
But anyway, let's sign it up there because I'm pretty sure I've just heard my wife and I'm about to get in trouble because it's very late. But
sorry.
I want to say big thank you. No, it's all right. She'll forgive you, not me.
Yeah, she will forgive me. Ali loves me.
I want to say a big thank you and welcome to all the subscribers. And please make sure you like, subscribe. We're available on all good podcasts at Dorks Down Under. You can also find us on our Twitter and TikTok at Dorks Down Under. And yeah, about to say, if you want to get in touch with us, just message us and basically say that we're entirely wrong in our opinions.
I would be interested because I've heard some people who, like, as I said, like, I may have shat on it a little bit, but I still very much enjoyed it. But it is funny to see or hear about different people and how they found it, because I've heard some people that have absolutely loved it and thought it was as good as the next one. And then I've heard people that have gone, I didn't like it at all. It didn't feel like the same film. And I'm like, really?
Personally, I mean, yeah. No, I'm about to say that's a question. That's a loaded question. I'm not going to get into because it is that time of night. But anyway, I want to say a big thank you to every single one of our followers. If you can make sure you like, share, and subscribe on whatever platform you listen to us, it obviously helps us in 1,000 different ways without us knowing. And we want to say
1,000 different ways? That's a lot of ways.
It is 1,000 different ways because I can't keep track of how we're being tracked. I'll tell you now. Anyway, but much love from us. I'll say peace out, relax, enjoy yourselves, and yeah.
Fuck you, Streamlabs.
Stick around to
Streamlabs.
Fuck you, Streamlabs. Fucking Streamlabs. We much love to the rest of you.
Peace.